And I'm assuming I just type it. Ooh. All right, I like that. Ooh, yeah, that's really nice. I've been using Sibelius for over 10 years, and although I'm very fluid and comfortable with it, there's some things about it that are still a nightmare. The UI is a mess. Basic functions like adding a tempo change are surprisingly complicated. It's just really not fun to use. So for a long time, people have been telling me to try out Dorico. So in this video, I'm gonna give Dorico a try. I wanna see how easy is it to use, how intuitive is it to find all the different functions that I need, and can it really work for me as a composition tool? Then I'm gonna evaluate Dorico on 5 different functions. First is note input. How easy is it for me to just start writing to get my ideas into the notation? Second will be basic functions. Can I find tempo changes, dynamics, all these things that I want to use every day? How easy are they to find and how easy are they to use? Next, I'll look at some of the more advanced features that I don't really use all the time, but when I need to use them, can I find them? That might be something like harp pedaling or an accidental on a trill. Stuff, again, I'm not using all the time, but when I want to use it, I want to be able to use it. Number 4, I want to look at audio. How well does it handle working with different outputs, different plugins, virtual instruments, all those different audio related things. And then the last thing I want to look at is the scoring to video features. They talk a lot about that on their website, so I want to see, okay, is this actually usable? And then by the end of the video, I'll let you know what I think. Is it worth paying for expensive new software, having to learn something from scratch, or should I just stick with what I already own and already know? Actually, I don't really own Sibelius anymore, I subscribe to it. All right, so here I am on the open screen. It wants me to open a pre-made project. I'm gonna start my own. Let's see if we can go solo piano, new from template. All right, so let's see, is it even detecting my keyboard right away? It is not. Note input maybe? So why is that not just playing? Okay, I had to double click there. I don't hear anything. Is there no bar number? That's strange. Why do I not have a time signature? Just click it. Yep. Okay. Now I got a time signature. Not hearing any sound. Where's my audio device setup? Do I hit P to play? Yes. Still no sound. It keeps giving me tour information as I go. What I'm trying to figure out is just how do I get some sound? What is it to play? Okay, that's different. There we go, finally some sound. So this is interesting. What happens if I edit in here? And we look at engrave. That didn't change. Kind of expected that to turn into an 8th note. What if, did I just not go quite far enough? No, all right. That's changing the way it's kind of being performed, but not actually how it's written. How do I do a slur? In Sibelius, I would click on that measure. It would select the whole measure. S for slur? No. Okay, is that because I'm not in write mode? S for slur works there. Okay, so write mode and engrave mode are different things, apparently. All right, now if I go to look at play, does it look any different? It doesn't. Oh, what is this? Played durations, notated durations. Okay, now is that how I change it? Ah, okay, so that made it an 8th note. Interesting. If I wanted to change U to an 8th note, are the key commands the same? Oh, they're different from Sibelius. They're off by like the numpad is what I use in Sibelius, and it seems to be working here, but the keys are different, so that would take some effort. All right, so I changed that there, and I look and play, and it should be different. Yeah, okay, that's cool. In Sibelius, you click a measure, you start playing, it immediately goes in. I don't know if that's a preference that I can change in here because I prefer it that way. I want to be able to just click and enter notes, and it doesn't seem to be working that way. I have to double click, and you have to double click in the right spot apparently, because what is this? That's not what I wanted. I wanted, like, so if I double click under beat 2, is it gonna put it here? It is. I mean, maybe that'll take some getting used to and you just kind of get a feel for it. But again, my instinct is just like, oh, I want something in the left hand of measure 3, click on measure 3 and start playing it. And I'm not getting that. That's a little bit of a point for Sibelius, I think, honestly. All right, let's try something different. Now you still have to double click there. That's annoying. How quickly can I just put something in? I want a dot. Why won't it just give it a dot? I want a dot. No, that's staccato. I want a dotted 8th note. I'm a little surprised here. I thought this was going to go a lot better at this point already. I'm kind of surprised at how different it is, I guess, from Sibelius, that I'm not able to just go Why won't that change the duration of the note? Come on. All right, so I've been evaluating on note input and note entry, and so far I've been finding it kind of difficult. I feel like I would probably have to look up a tutorial. Probably if I just saw somebody else do it, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's how it's supposed to be done. But coming from Sibelius, I'm finding that Sibelius is actually a lot better at note input and being able to just kind of, oh, I have this idea in my head, I want to get it out. Boom, it's in the notation. I select where I want it, I play it in. Here, you have to be pretty precise about where you're clicking. I really don't want to be using the mouse all that much. I want to be able to just be playing in. Maybe somebody's watching this right now and kind of screaming at their screen because they know, oh, you know, you just didn't change this setting. But that's kind of the point, is I wanted to see if I could figure this out without having to know about that one little setting. Is it just intuitive? So far for note input and ease of entry, I'm going to give a point to Sibelius. All right, so now let's see. I want to do some things like I want to change the tempo. I want to add dynamics. How quickly can I do that? So I see some things over here on the right. Tap tempo, absolute. Oh, I like the written tempos. That's pretty cool. Allegretto. What if I just click it? It just goes in. That's nice. What if I'm selecting there and I change it to Cambria? It goes there. If I'm selecting here and I change it to it goes there. Nice. That is nice. Perfect. All right, so that was easy. How about dynamics? So if I'm just click there and I click it, that changes. Easy enough. So it's so different from Sibelius as far as the key commands and how you put things in that it just wasn't coming to me. So I decided to download this quick reference card, and now I can actually look at the key commands. This is probably a smarter approach. So now it looks like if I select that and hit the greater than, okay. All right, pretty cool. What is all this? Ooh. Say I want to add an instrument. I want to add violin. Just search for violin. Oh, well, that's really nice. And now in Sibelius, if I wanted this to be like pizzicato or something, I would hit Apple T, type pit. So let's just try that. That was not it. Okay. That brought up a new tab. Interesting. Okay. Oh, and I can see just the part. Okay. I want to change the performance technique. I want to make this pizzicato. What do I do? How do I change playing techniques? Shift P. And I'm assuming I just type it. Ooh. All right, I like that. Ooh, yeah, that's really nice. So we change that to pits. Now let's go with the playback. I'm assuming it starts Arco still. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So now that I know the key commands, putting in dynamics is pretty easy. Putting in the tempo, very easy. I really liked that. Changing the key, crazy easy. Changing the time, Shift M, 3, 4. Ooh, nice. All right, so as far as inputting the basic everyday functions, Dorico is way ahead. Inputting the dynamics, changing playing techniques, changing keys, changing meter, all these things. I'm impressed. This is pretty good. Then I was wondering, what about some of the lesser used stuff? So in one of my recent videos, I was doing an orchestration of Breath of the Wild for the orchestration techniques of George Frederick Mackay video. And I wanted a trill, but to go up a half step instead of the whole step that was part of the key. And I couldn't do it in Sibelius to get it to actually play back. I could kind of fudge a way where it would look like the accidental I wanted, but Sibelius wouldn't actually play it back. It was really frustrating, and I just gave up. So Sibelius really failed me on that. And that was one of the things that got me thinking, like, you know, maybe I should try this Dorico thing. Okay, took a little bit of a learning curve to figure out how to do it, but I was able to, and it actually plays back, which is huge. Sibelius could not do that. Lyrics I use sometimes, but not a lot. Figured bass, who needs figured bass? Teachers, I guess. Text. So my instinct is to hit Apple T, but now I'm thinking Shift T. No, that's tempo. Apple T brought me to a different tab. Shift X. And then it's on X. Ooh, all right. You get all these different things. Make this part cool. Easy enough. I actually use text a lot in my scores. I'll put notes to myself about what instruments I might want if I'm doing a sketch. So being able to use text is useful. How is the grace note system? Let's say I want a grace note on this. I see the little grace note symbol. If I just click it, didn't do anything. Let's look it up. Press the slash. So I have to be in note input, then the slash. Interesting. I'm still not used to this note input thing where you have to kind of switch to an input mode. All right, that works. What does this look like in the play section? I want to add a point. Interesting. So I can write in different dynamics, but it doesn't actually show up in the score. That would be really cool if it did, if I was able to draw a decrescendo here and then go over into write or engrave and actually see it written. That would have been cool. So what happens if I override this? If I put in pianissimo and I go over here, did it change it? No. So now the dynamics are being overridden, I guess, by what I put by hand. Yeah, it's being loud. I don't like that. I kind of like messed it up. I don't like that it overrid, that I wasn't able to override that in the writing. It would have been nice. So some of the techniques that I don't use every day, but sometimes need to use, I'm going to give Dorico the upper hand here. I'm going to give the point to Dorico, even though there was still a bit of a learning curve. There are certain things that I can't do in Sibelius that I can do here. So I think the obvious point goes to Dorico. So now let's look at audio. Let's look at the mixer. The mixer in Sibelius is a little useless, to be honest. So that's nice. Adding plugins is definitely easier here. So if I want to add a virtual instrument, how easy is that? So I went over here. Let's see, let's try Contact. Contact opens up. I open the Spitfire flute solo. That's open. In setup, let's add a flute, which is so easy to do. All right, I'm getting the hang of this. That's all well and good, but then the question was, can I change the output of this instrument? Right now, we're in Note Performer, which is nice. Distorting a little bit, which is a little odd. Play menu, I've got my flute, and I'm gonna change your output to Contact. Do you just work? So audio, it was way easier to open Contact, just get the instrument going, being able to use whatever instruments I want. I mean, if I assume I could even use just like a synth if I wanted to. So I guess VST instruments, this is giving me my choices. So we add this over here as a choice, and I want Zebra. All right, that's pretty awesome. So the fact that I can use a synth within the notation very easily means I'm way more likely to actually use this stuff, because I use synth instruments most of my work, at least even just as a pad, or you know, that actually gives me a thought. That's pretty great. I'm pretty happy about that. So that's pretty cool, being able to use synths and Contact and all these different sounds directly in here is really nice. I really like that. So for the audio portion, I'm gonna go with Dorico, definitely. Sibelius crashes a lot. I have a lot of problems with rewire running when it's not supposed to, and having to kind of clean the database and restart, and then just the output doesn't always load, and using external instruments is really not intuitive and does not feel super friendly. Whereas here, not only is it very easy for me to just kind of grab stuff, use different instruments, play instruments that are not even notated like a synth, and actually be able to use modulation and all those things is pretty awesome. Being able to hear those different instruments and mix those instruments together. I mean, one of the main reasons I do most of my work in Logic is to be able to use those virtual instruments that I can't get out of Sibelius, but I'd be much happier to be using notation with those things if I could. So that's pretty awesome. So point to Dorico. So the last thing I want to look at is scoring the video. It's something on their website. They're like, hey, you could score a video, and it's awesome. In Sibelius, I tried it. It was just annoying. It wasn't something I would ever really practically do. So here I want to see, is this legitimate? Would I actually use this? Guessing if I click on this little thing, show video. I was hoping that would actually ask me what video I wanted, but it didn't. In the flows panel, right click the flow, or you want to add a video. What's a flow? What is, I guess I don't know what a flow is. All right, so I got this stock footage that I was using in another video. It's very zoomed in. That's a little weird. And now it's just gone. Interesting that it just stops because the piece keeps going. How do I find a place to add a marker? Like, how would I go frame by frame? So I want to be able to move frame by frame so I can find specific moments. So is that an option? Can I move frame by frame? Great thing happens here. Okay, that's all well and good, but what if I want to move it? It's not 5211 anymore. Why is it still showing 5211? Can I jump to a certain time? That click is terrible. All right, so coming out of the gate, not as friendly as I was hoping. I thought that maybe, you know, I'm so used to working in Logic, I was thinking maybe I could just load up the video and it would be very easy for me to move around in the timeline, choose a frame, put a marker exactly on that frame, move it here or there if I wanted to. Not really getting what I wanted out of it. The other odd thing is that the video is zoomed in. So here's the video in Dorico. You can see barely a little bit of hair in this woman's hand. Here's the video in Sibelius. The whole woman's torso is there. Like, this is clearly a very different image. Why is Dorico showing me such a zoomed in view? Something seems wrong with that. Is this in the setup? Is this in the flow? What is a flow? As we've established, we don't really know what a flow is. That's not a good sign. That it just seems like it's not something I could actually use or work with if the video is going to look like that. That's a shame. I was kind of really looking forward to this part. I was like, this is gonna solve so many things, and I was pretty excited to be able to work in notation, scoring the video. I do everything in Logic when I'm working the video, because Sibelius does not do this well, and so I was really excited that Dorico was gonna solve this for me and make this really fun and useful. Alas, does not seem to be the case so far. I'm gonna spend a little more time poking around, seeing if I can figure it out. All right, so I spent over an hour playing with Dorico. I looked at inputting notes, trying out everyday features, some of the lesser used but still useful features, playing with the video, playing with the audio. What's my final verdict? Well, if I was starting completely fresh, if I didn't already have a notation software that I used, definitely I would go with Dorico. There's no doubt that just as far as a digital audio workstation type notation software goes, Dorico is way better than Sibelius. However, as far as just inputting notes in more of a notation fashion, maybe it's just because I'm more used to it. Sibelius just feels a lot more intuitive and useful to just go from my head into the software. Now, intuitive is kind of funny because I've been using it for so long. Maybe it wouldn't be intuitive to somebody who's brand new. So again, you're brand new, you're trying to decide Sibelius, Finale, Dorico, which one do I go with? I think Dorico looks really good, really strong. So I have the trial. I have like a month, I think, to play around with it. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna stick with it and try. I'm gonna look at some tutorials about working with the video to see if maybe, even though I couldn't quite get what I wanted right away, maybe it's useful. I just don't know where the buttons are. And maybe I just don't know the key commands yet, so maybe the input will get more fluid. There are definitely a lot of things that I really like. It's worth, for me, exploring, and for the next month, doing my work in Dorico as much as I can to see how it goes. Maybe I will do a follow-up video after that 30-day trial ends, if anyone's interested to see what have I decided, what am I gonna stick with. So for now, I'm gonna keep trying, but I'm not fully convinced. I'm not a convert yet. Also, my opinion might be a little different if I was a Cubase user. So they're both made by Steinberg. I imagine they work together well, but being a Logic user, I don't really get those benefits. So, you know, there would also be the whole thing of, do I wanna switch from Logic to Cubase, which right now I really don't have a compelling reason to do. So some of the things I really liked about Dorico, it was very easy to add tempo changes, meter changes, articulations. The interface and the searching for all those different things was really nice. Inputting notes, not so good. I like Sibelius better there. Working with the video, not as good as I hoped off the bat. You know, they're really selling that as something that you can score to video and it's so great. And I was like, yeah, I think Logic is better for this, and I'll probably continue to use Logic for that, but I'm willing to give it a try. So I guess the final verdict is maybe. We'll keep trying. I'll give it the 30 days to play around. Maybe by the end of a couple weeks, I'll be more used to it, things will be flowing better, and I'll really like it, who knows? Or by the end of it, I might say, you know what, I think I'm just gonna stay with the evils that I already know and that I'm kind of already used to. So thank you so much for watching. If you found this video interesting or useful, please hit like. And for more videos about the craft of film scoring and orchestration and writing music, please remember to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.